and the whole movie just comes across as this forgettable, cheesy, preachy exercise in I don't know what. Greta Gerwig having a little bit too much freedom to make the most generic feminist story of all time. And I say that as a grown-ass man with a bunch of boglins and toys behind me. Get over it. I need a drink for this one. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, guys. Justin here. As always, thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me today to talk about Barbie. I don't wear pink hats every day. Well, sometimes I do. But today I'm wearing it in celebration of the new Barbie movie starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, among many, many other comedic actresses. This is a movie that I fully bought into, okay? I was one of the suckers that bought into the whole meme of this thing. This thing captured the nation. It was a cultural moment. The memification of Barbie, this seemingly self-aware, kind of satirical, tongue-in-cheek take on a Mattel doll, which doesn't really have a lot of lore outside of what may be a description of each individual Barbie doll on the box, but they got me. They got me. The memification culture of Barbie got me. The casting, the look of it. I remember the first trailer dropped. I thought the movie looked amazing. The sets and the set design and colors and all that stuff is great. That's all well and good, and that's good, and it kind of saves the movie for the first, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. But after that first 10 minutes, whatever this movie is trying to do becomes extremely grating, and my interest in the film started dropping off a cliff fairly early. Now, I think myself and I think a lot of other people are going to go to this movie and not quite realize or not get what they thought they were in store for while watching this movie. This movie tries to boil down and solve like 100, 200 years of women's rights and cram it into about an hour and 45 minutes of the most like nauseating, preachy, trite, annoying explorations of the patriarchy and feminism. I'm not so cynical and small-minded to think there isn't a place for movies that tell an amazing story of women and the triumph of women's rights and their plights in today's society. Problem is, a Barbie movie, or at least this particular Barbie movie, ain't the movie that should be exploring those type of subjects.
And also, this movie has a weird issue of feeling like it's not coming from the voice of the people that it's made for or made by. It feels like a bunch of directives from Mattel's public relations trying to clean up their image of the stereotypical image of what a woman should be that they've shoved down the throats of women for 100 years. So they spend so much screen time trying to make excuses and acknowledging the fact that Mattel hasn't done a very good job at representing what an everyday woman is. They constantly are reminding people of the mistakes they made, the bad dolls they made, the bad corporate ideas they had, and the whole movie comes off as feeling a little dishonest, like it's a product in a company trying to revamp their image and their maybe flaws of running the company in the past. I hope that makes sense. If you've seen the movie, you definitely know what I'm talking about.
First off, to all the 30 to 40-year-old women who I saw going into the theaters dressed to the nines in bright pink dresses, ready for a party fun time, are quickly going to be just spoon-fed about an hour and 45 minutes of the most surface-level feminist garbage that I think will be offensive to even the biggest feminist. And to the kids, well, this movie isn't for kids at all. I'm not sure if it was marketed to kids or if kids were interested in seeing this or if parents were interested in bringing their kids, although I did see some kids come into this movie. They're going to be bored after about the first 10 minutes. After the first song and dance and after the brightness and the explosion of colors on the screen, as soon as that dies off after about 10 minutes, kids are going to be bored when they start talking about the patriarchy and the Supreme Court and all this crap that they tried to plug into this movie. These themes can and should be explored. But when it comes to like a movie like Barbie, you want to forget all of the bullshit of today's society and watch a silly Barbie movie. Not like the story of this movie is so crazy. If I heard the word patriarchy one more time, I think my head was going to explode. The basic premise of this movie is Margot Robbie and all the other Barbies and Kens live in magical dreamland, Barbie land. And there's also the real world. Mattel, the corporation in the real world, also exists. But the lines started being blended when this mythical, magical line between Barbie land and reality start to blend. Margot Robbie starts to get thoughts of death, and she starts to have bad breath in the morning, and her feet get flat. The real world, or the the problems of the real world starts creeping into perfect Barbie land, and it's up to Barbie to go to the real world and figure out what the hell's going on and fix her flat feet and the realities of the world creeping into her perfect little world. And then she learns about the patriarchy and how women aren't really in control of everything in the real world, which may or may not be true depending on your views. I'm not going to get into all that. It's not my job to talk political shit, but Ken also goes into the real world and realizes that how amazing the patriarchy is, because all of the Kens in Barbie land are just dumb himbos who don't have any purpose. So once Ken gets a taste of good old patriarchy, he starts to think drinking beer and mini fridges and horses and all these stereotypical men things. He brings that back into Barbie land and brings patriarchy to Barbie land, and it's a big mess. And it's so, I don't know. I was so ready for this movie to be over. Like I said, I think there's plenty of places for feminist stories. I am all for citing, you know, being on the right side of history as far as women having everything they deserve. The problem is, this is supposed to be a fun, tongue-in-cheek, silly, kind of goofy, edgy comedy, or at least it should have been. But instead, the movie spends an hour and 45 minutes preaching at the audience, and again, I don't know who this is for. The ladies going for a fun, goofy, silly, fun time. They will get to see Ryan Gosling. His abs are on full display throughout this entire movie. Margot Robbie does look stunning. Her costumes are amazing. All of the set design, the costume design, all of that's amazing, but the songs fucking suck. The soundtrack is terrible. The musical numbers are awkward and cheesy, and the whole movie just comes across as this forgettable, cheesy, preachy exercise in I don't know what. Greta Gerwig having a little bit too much freedom to make the most generic feminist story of all time. And I say that as a grown-ass man with a bunch of boglins and toys behind me. Get over it. Anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of Barbie. Hopefully I'm not an island. Hopefully I'm not in dreamland here or on an island myself thinking this was just kind of some really like feminist 101 bullshit, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But either way, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. I think we're done here. Stay weird. Remember to always be yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.